So, as Caroline said, I'm Gaz Booth, and I've come today to talk about my business journey, Holy Moly dips, reminisce a little, bleary-eyed about my great times at Aston. I was here 03 to 07, so I have the credentials. I am an Aston student. I am a passionate believer in this university and what it produces. I studied Management and Administrative Studies, which you won't know because they changed it to Management and Leadership because it sounded like we were producing secretaries for a long time. I was also president of the Student Union, so I was heavily involved in life at Aston. So today's agenda: who am I, who are we, who's Holy Moly, why does it matter to you? Want to talk about the journey that we've been on, the highs and lows, the ups, the downs, the risks we've overcome at different stages. So the way I broke this down is almost pre-launch, growing to the first million of turnover, then kind of growing to the first 10 million of turnover, and the different challenges that we face along the way. And Caroline said it right, it will be warts and all. I'm going to bare my soul to you, the good people of Aston University, this afternoon. There will be discussion about the highs and lows and how we overcame them. So hopefully we'll cover that. And then the useful bit, anything you think I've missed, anything you want to clarify. If you're really burning question in the moment, shout out, but I'll cover them at the end. I'll try and get as many questions as we can. So what? Why am I at all qualified to come here, talk to a bright, energetic, young entrepreneurial group of people? Well, this is why I think I'm qualified to talk to you. So I've built a business from nothing, an idea, to, as I say, nearly £10 million of revenue. We've grown profitably in that time. We went from borrowing on our credit cards to investment by one of the UK's largest food groups last year. We had a significant investment from Sandworth Brothers, who some of you may or may not know, but they're a £1 billion annual turnover business. That was interesting. There's a lot of stories in there, which I'm happy to share. Two blokes, me and my co-founder Tom, who is also an Aston student, unfortunately couldn't be here today, who knew genuinely nothing about the food industry, to a professional team of FMCG hires. We've brought people in from Tesco, I've brought people in from Sipsmiths. I've got a great team of 12 now. We've built the UK's fastest growing dips brand. Fact, Kantar data, I could provide it till it comes out your ears, but I have the UK's fastest growing dips brand. We gave up our corporate jobs, so I can talk a little bit about that, and the decision to do that, timing. Some of you might find that interesting. To live the entrepreneur's dream and nightmare. We have the best rated products on the market because we've never changed our recipe. This year we launched our first international business, so we can talk a little bit more about that. And we went from one customer with approximately 74 stocking points, and as your man over here said, we now work with Tesco, Sainsbury's, Waitrose, Ocado, Asda, Amazon, Whole Foods, Harrods stock my products, believe it or not. It's an interesting life. Most importantly of all, made loads and loads of mistakes along the way. That's the most important thing, and the most important thing out today is helping others learn from my mistakes and how we do things differently if we could do it again. The Holy Moly journey. That's my co-founder Tom. That is us at the Aston Student Union a million years ago. On the left there, that is actually Dalton Tower, where we lived during our time at Aston University. They tore that down shortly after that picture, but I love it. I love the dystopian nature of that picture. You can see from the middle, as I said, I was president of the Student Union, so I ingrained myself in Aston and all it had to give. And the key here is we were just two blokes, just two kids, came to university, did the university thing, studied MAS, had no real aspirations to grow a sizable business. But Aston was where it all started. And being here amongst the community, it's very clear why we produce so many of the UK's best graduates. And I just want to reflect on that very quickly and just say, A, well done for being here, because I think it's a fantastic thing that you're doing. I always thought being at Aston was an absolute brilliant grounding. It taught me a lot. It gave me the basics that I needed to go into any choice. So I went into the corporate world, and we'll talk more about that. And I think my message to you is embrace every single second of your academic studies, every single second of anything that Caroline can do for you. Every single moment you will absorb and learn. We're a community as far as I'm concerned. We're here to help each other out. So we did Aston. I did the corporate world. I went to BT. I was 12 years in corporate finance. Important, I think, as a first thing to say, if you don't understand finance, or you're not comfortable with finance, get comfortable with finance. Understanding your numbers is probably the most important skill for anyone, corporate world, entrepreneur, whatever it may be. Understand the basics. If you don't, find someone that can help you, teach you. It's an amazing, amazing skill to have, particularly when finance people try and fob you off, as they do now with P&Ls that don't make sense or balance sheets where you think they think you won't question them. Having done 12 years in finance is a real great background for me in my current role. So yeah, I worked for some great people. I went and worked for Baron Livingston, as he is now. He was just plain old Ian Livingston at the time. I did 12 years, as I say, and the one thing I took away, it's a bit remiss to say the one thing I took away from BT, was the day Ian Livingston said to me that big businesses should act like small businesses, and small businesses should act like big businesses. And I said to him, what do you mean? He said, big businesses need to be agile, need to think quickly, they need to put customers first, they need to remember why they exist. They get bloated, they get fat, they get removed from the core of what makes them, special to their customers. Oh, that makes sense. What about small businesses acting like big businesses? Processes, systems, unsexy stuff. No one goes to be an entrepreneur to, make sure your finance system works or your invoicing works, or, everyone wants to do marketing, everyone wants to do sales, no one wants to do ops. But you've got to have the basics in place to have a successful business, and a basic understanding of, how things work operationally. So yeah, I did 12 years, corporate world, and then there was one fateful night where it's not on the slide, but I'll say it out in person. I had too much to drink. And me and my co-founder Tom were sitting around talking about, we were having a Mexican meal. And genuinely, we had an argument about that. Does anyone know what that is? Coriander. Very good. Cilantro, depending on where you're in the world. That's coriander. And he'd made a Mexican guacamole and he didn't put coriander in it. And he says I was really angry about it. I say I was just making a really strong point about how important coriander is to a traditional and authentic guacamole. And anyway, we quickly got speaking about why do we make our own, why can't we buy it from the shops, what's wrong with the products, How hard can it be? And they're the most dangerous words in the English language. How hard can it be? And it was an argument about coriander that started Holy Moly. We were still corporate world, I was still at BT, he was still at EDF Energy at the time, head of marketing. And that night we said, you know what, we're going to do something about this. We're going to create an authentic, proper guacamole. Where do you make guacamole if you want a proper, authentic guacamole? Well, you make it in Mexico. So 3 weeks later, that's where we went to Mexico. And we'd had this great idea. And we thought there was something in it. And you just, sometimes just get a sense. We didn't know. We weren't backed by data. We weren't backed by kind of logic. It was just a sense that we were onto something. There was a product that we could produce, that we could potentially make, that was different, sets itself apart in a category that desperately needed it. But having a great idea is not enough. Loads of people have great ideas all the time. I'm sure you're sat here, you've all got great ideas. Great idea is one thing. Turning it into an actual business is something very different. How do you even set up a business? We didn't know, we'd never done it. The practicality is it doable? How do we do it? What kind of stuff do we have to get into place? How does anyone even approach a Waitrose or an Ocado and decide that you want to go and sell them a product? What's going on in the market? What can we learn from others? What's happening elsewhere in the world? Where can we get expertise? We knew nothing about food manufacturing, production, safety, legal, technical. How do we know we're not going to kill someone? The emotion. This is a big one. Are we actually going to do this? can we really give up time at weekends and evenings and give up our cushy corporate lives to actually chase this dream? Is it worth it? The stress, the anxiety, the standing on the precipice of something and deciding to jump into it is an incredibly difficult thing, and something that I'm sure a lot of you will face. And then finally, the money. The money. So, I'll tell you a story at this point. We'd got an idea. We'd been to Waitrose, we'd been to Ocado. We sat down, we were two blokes off the street with a polystyrene box of samples from Mexico, genuinely. We had this branding. Absolute rubbish, look at it, it's rubbish. If you've ever seen my products now, it's a world away from this. This is absolute bobding as far as I'm concerned, but this was what we went in with. They loved it, by the way. We hated it. And basically it said, okay, Ocado said, we'll give you a shot. We need you to get product to us in whatever it was, 3 weeks' time, And for a container of product, it was £55,000. And we'd put a little bit in, we'd got a little bit of savings from our time in the corporate world, but we didn't have that kind of money lying around. So we sought an investor, and Tom said, I've got a guy, and I won't mention his name. He said, we'll sell him a third of the business. He'll come on board, he'll help us, he's an operational specialist. So the day before we had to place the order to get it into Ocado on time, we had a meeting with this chap, who we'll call Simon, because that's his name. And Simon agreed to buy 33% of Holy Moly for £75,000 because we were going in as partners. And we'd sat down, he said, okay, right, come to the meeting. He said, guys, I've got some really bad news. He said, I'm pulling out. The day before we had to place the order to get the product from Mexico in time to get into Ocado. That was an oh shit moment. We needed to commit. We didn't have the money to do it ourselves. In the next 24 hours, we borrowed from our wives, we borrowed from our friends, our family. We took quite a big risk, actually. And you'll see in a minute that my advice to you is not to take such a risk. But that was our first big moment of oh my God, what are we doing? Now, Simon, who we're no longer in contact with, his share of Holy Moly today would have been worth £7.4 million. But we don't throw that in his face, because we don't speak to him. But from idea to practicality of actually owning and managing and running and setting up a business, there's a few things I would say as lessons from those early days. This first box is all around the same theme. Fail fast, fail cheap. Can't hammer this home enough. Fail fast, fail cheap. Most products, most ideas won't be right first time. They just won't be. You haven't got the money to do proper testing, you haven't got the money to go out and do proper research. Something will be wrong with them. The sooner you work that out and improve and go back again, go around it again, the better. Fail fast, fail cheap. Do not bet the house. Don't put everything you've... there is no honour in throwing all the money you've got into a business that fails. Be judicious, support you where you can, find co-founders, find partners. Don't chuck everything you've got at it. It's just simply not worth it. There are ways and means of going through things and testing things that don't require you to chuck everything you have at it. And the sunk cost fallacy is chucking good money after bad, basically. People think, oh, if I just do that, I've already spent that. If I just do that extra £5,000, that extra 10 grand, then it'll be fine. You probably know, how many businesses fail within their first year? 9 out of 10? 90%? That's not because you're bad entrepreneurs. It's because you've probably not got the right product at the right time for the right market, speaking to the right people, or people don't take you seriously because you're teeny tiny and you're small. It's not that you're bad entrepreneurs. In America, badge of honor to have failed. Badge of honor. You tried something, you failed. Here, it's almost a dirty thing. We need to get over that because failing means you're improving, means you're learning. So fail fast, fail cheap is an incredible piece of advice. We didn't do that. We were stupid. It's worked out. If we hadn't, and it hadn't worked out, I wouldn't be stood here talking to you, right? So I suppose that's just how it is. Minimum viable product. When we went to Ocado, we were 2 blokes with a polystyrene box, with that rubbish branding. But we knew what we stood for, and we knew what we wanted to do. And we knew what difference we could make to their customers, and that was the important thing. We hadn't worked everything out. We hadn't worked out the brand fully. That all came after we started getting going. Just do it. Just do it. You've got an idea. Don't bet everything you've got doing it, but do it. Look around you, amazing community of people that you can get ideas from, support from, test stuff. This audience is a great test bed for your idea. A, because they'll tell you the truth. They're not your mother, who will lie to you and tell you it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But also they're smart enough people that they'll be able to give you practical advice on how they would improve your service, your offer, your product, whatever it may be. And then I love this saying. This whole presentation is full of cliches. But I don't care, because I love them, because cliches almost are like echoes through time for me. They resonate because they've worked for so long. So the early bird catches the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese. Now, for anyone that doesn't know what that means, there is nothing wrong with seeing someone do something in a market that you think, if only it was slightly different, that'd be the best thing. We didn't create natural guacamole. America did it years before us, 5-10 years ahead of us. A company called Holy Guacamole is a $450 million business in America. We looked at what they were doing. We basically stole the same technology. We make it in the same place. They have no interest in being in Europe. We'll do it. Yes, mate.
How early on did you look at them and say we could do that?
Pretty early. Once we decided we wanted to do this, it was about, okay, how can we make it different? How do we set ourselves aside? How can we make a clean label, authentic, no nasties recipe that has the shelf life, etc., etc. And it turns out there's a piece of technology called HPP, so high pressure processing. I won't bore you with the details, but it's called cold pressing. You'll have heard of cold pressing. We cold press our dips. They cold press the dips in America. The reason they use HPP is because they've got to for food safety. The reason we use it is because it means we don't have to add any additives or preservatives, and we still get 60-day shelf life out of a fresh product. And that's what I mean by that phrase there. Steal with impunity, but what you have to do is A, improve. Don't just take something and copy someone else. That's not the way to start a business. But if you see something genuinely that you think that's a great idea, if they just did that, that's a great business. That's a great business idea. So growing to £1 million turnover, next challenge. We had products, we had customers, we'd had success in Waitrose and Ocado. Sainsbury's had come on board. We quit the day jobs. We did this part-time for 2 years. Evenings, weekends. Built a brand, built a business. Still had the security of our corporate jobs. Once Sainsbury's came on board, it was then clear it was too big for us to do part-time and weekends. It was too much effort to maintain that, family life, academic life, work pressures, whatever it may be. The balance went out of kilter once Sainsbury's was on board. So it was important that we made a decision there and then. Can this business support us, sustain us, be profitable, make money, make sure we can pay ourselves? I don't have to remortgage the house. I've got 2 young kids. That's the time to do it. We secured investment from a chap. Will hates this picture of himself because he's just lounging. But Will's a serial retail magnate investor, was the chairman of Jack Wills, was the CEO at Tyrac and various businesses. Great guy to know. How did we find Will? Money. Who asked me about money? Tom, my co-founder, worked with a guy at the business they were working together that was Will's operations director at Whittard. Once we told him about Holy Moly, in fact, no, he stayed at Tom's house, saw the boxes of samples we were sending out to people. He said, "What's this?" He said, "Oh, it's a business we started. He said, I've got someone I need you to speak to." That was it. It was as serendipitous as that. It was just someone who knew someone who knew someone. Now, you know me. So I can introduce you to Will. Easier. That's how it works. That is how it works.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you sell a food business to investors? Because nowadays a lot of people interested in IT and some sort of technology because nobody sees the potential in food. But
Do you eat?
yes.
How often?
Every day.
And how many people on Earth eat every day?
Around 6 billion.
Around 6 billion.
Yeah.
Pretty big market, eh?
Yes. But it's hard to introduce your brand to investors because they don't see a potential here.
To a degree, I agree with you. To a degree, food businesses are harder. They take more work. It's not as sexy as IT or technology. Nor do they crash like technology businesses. Nor do we have big boom and busts of food businesses. It doesn't happen. Stable. They're investable because you get the right product in the right place, you're going to sell lots of it. But also, there's a little bit of ego stuff, right? So Will is, as I said, a retailer. He knows retail. He wants to be involved in retail. He's not bothered about technology. He's got a t-shirt printing business. That's as technological as he gets, right? So finding the right investor, and this is an absolutely a critical question, so well asked. Finding the right investor, not only that brings money, but brings expertise in the right market, is interested in your business, is interested in creating a brand, is interested in disrupting a really turgid market that exists. Their money is important. What they bring to your business is more important. What they bring to the table, if they don't bring that to the table, then just no, I don't want your money. I don't need your money. When I went for the last round of investment in Holy Moly, we had 7 private equity businesses offering us lots of money, 7-figure sums, loads and loads of money. When you say, what do you bring to the table? Well, we bring money and a bit of expertise and well, that's not good enough. I want to grow this from a £5 million business to a £30 million business, and I can't do that on my own. I need your expertise, I need your input, I need help. I might need to call on you for, I don't know, ops support. I could give you loads of examples, and in fact I will, because we've called on Samwise now a number of times for things you just wouldn't even dream of. So the right investor is much more important than the right amount of money. We had a proper brand identity at this point. My marketing team are really, really upset with these slides because they're not on brand, but I don't care. I've got people now that tell me off for not being on brand. I mean, it's amazing. And we'd got, the thing to say there, not only do you have to have a brand, you have to know what you're doing with it, you have to have the proper protections, you have to have the proper word marks, you have to have proper trademark, proper logo protection. If you've got any ambition to grow your business successfully, you must do basics like get legal frameworks in place where you're protecting your assets, your IP. Boring. And no one will think sales and marketing. Everyone wants to do sales and marketing. Everyone wants to go and talk to customers. No one wants to apply for an IP for the words holy and moly. You must. When you do it, that's up to you. But if you don't get protection, then you're just building on soft sand, as far as I'm concerned. Profitability. This is an interesting one. We set out stupidly to make profit. And I say that blithely because most businesses don't make any money. Everyone knows the curve of, But we did. We ran our business like it was I think it was part of our Yorkshire upbringing. It was kind of just how we were brought up to make sure we were making money. And it wasn't mega profits. I'm not retired. I don't own a yacht. Doing all right. Businesses don't need to make profits as they're growing, but that is a conversation only you can have with yourself and your investors and the people around you. It's not profits alone aren't the benchmark of a brilliant business. They will be eventually. Eventually that will be the number one thing that people care about, but it's not in those first year or two. People expect you to be spending and investing and growing, but as I say, that's not a written rule, and it has changed recently. I think people are definitely looking more at profitability as an issue as we go into tougher economic times, so it's quite interesting. Okay, warts and all, 2 things. I remember the first meeting with Tesco. Sat down, love the product, Gaz, think it's fantastic, tastes great, but it'll never work. It's an own label dominated category. You're too expensive. People won't pay £2.79 as it was at the time for guacamole when we charge £1 for it. It's fantastic. I'll tell you what though, do you fancy doing own label for us? Okay, not where we want to go. We want to build a famous brand. And we walked out of a meeting with Tesco having turned down a £9 million contract because we believed in our mission to build a famous brand in this world. It needs it. The category needs it. It's a rubbish category. It's just no innovation. So that was really tough. That was a tough day. I remember going for a few beers after that and sinking our sorrows. And literally being told it will never work. Just give up. Just give up. All that effort, all that time. Just give up. We're Tesco's. We know what we're talking about. We've got 28% of the market. Just give up. Don't give up. Never give up. And then the Nando's unpleasantness. The moral of this story is, however well you think things are going, there's always going to be something that comes and bites you in the arse. So we went and saw Nando's. They called and said, we're introducing this new burger. Long story short, we want to put avocado on it. You're the best in town. Come down to HQ in Putney. Let's work it out. Long story short, yes, they want the product. Okay, it's unbranded. So we don't do unbranded normally, but for them it didn't matter. It wasn't a competitor. Most of you may not know this. If you're doing unbranded products in anywhere, supermarkets, the regulations, the technical stuff, the inspections are incredibly high. If you kill someone under your brand, you're to blame. You take the flak. If you give someone botulism under your brand, you take the flak, you take the blame. If you put a Tesco logo on someone and you kill them, you better believe that Tesco are going to be mildly angry about it, right? So Nando's, I remember we went through this whole process, months of work. They want the smashed avocado. No, there's no allergens in it. No, there's no problem with it. This is where it's made. Go and visit the factory in Mexico. Go and inspect the factory. All the technical standards, BRC, SMETA, Global Gap, we've got it all signed off. Day one, bang, sent the wrong product into 300 Nando's stores, put it into their burgers. We didn't do that. That was our co-partners, our packing house. And I'll never forget the phone call from them as we were driving up the M1. Why has it got chili in it? We'd sent them the jalapeno guacamole rather than the smashed avo. And they put it into store. Now, how you respond to adversity is much more important than actually anything else. And we dealt with that and we come out the other end. But the point was, A, things will go wrong. Life is an interesting thing. It's how you respond to that failure that matters. Old school, another cliche, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. I'm not great at preparation. I'm really not. I'm not one of these people that sits down and meticulously works out what's going on. But I now surround myself with people that do. I know that weakness in myself and I work hard at it, but I also surround myself with people that mitigate that risk. Your first hires, some of you will be thinking about this. Some of you will be thinking about this in the not too distant future, within 1 year. Yep. Yeah, damn right. Don't hire a salesperson. No one will sell your product better than you because you believe in it. Don't hire a salesperson. No one here should hire a salesperson as their first hire. If you can't sell your product, they cannot sell your product. It's as simple as that. And then someone asked me about how I got into Waitrose. Do you know what? I say this and people don't believe me. I never found it that difficult. If you've got a genuine product that they can see is different, innovative, meets some key trends, it might be vegan, it might be plant-based, it might be clean eating, it might have no additives, no preservatives. Thankfully, mine does all of that. The conversation you have with them are relatively simple and logic-based, which is great. It's not we go in with loads of data and go, we've done X thousands of sales in Sainsbury's, so it's going to work in Tesco, and your demographics are this. We go and have a really simple conversation that says, here's what we think. What if we could produce a product that does X, Y, and Z? It's vegan, it meets clean eating trends, it's healthy. Would that be a good thing? And most of the time, buyers just go, yeah, that sounds amazing. Like, where is this magical product that doesn't exist? Then you pull out your polystyrene box and you show them that it exists. It's not actually that difficult. The perception is it's difficult because A, they drive a hard bargain. And the grocery world particularly has gone through some changes, and it's much better, it's less like the Wild West. But B, most of the time the problem is not their attitude or their view, it's the fact that the product's not right, or it doesn't meet a need, or you can't demonstrate what it does for their customers. Buyers genuinely want stuff on their shelves that people will buy, that are different, that are interesting, that are new and add value to their category. The problem is, if your product doesn't do that to start with, then you're flogging a dead horse. Did I see a question?
So how did you contact them? Like, did you just like go on the website?
Assistance. I launched into Morrison's 1 month ago. I've been trying to talk to Morrison's for 5 years. I mean, I can help, obviously. You know, if you know people in the industry, the more often than not people are willing to help each other, because it is hard. Their own websites, food shows. Some companies like Ocado run specialist kind of schemes for new businesses where you can apply to them with you know, kind of a brief of what your product is, what it does. So yeah, buyers want to buy. It's inherently in the title. They don't want to spend time dealing with crap. They want to buy. They want interesting stuff that customers can get access to.
I've always wondered, how do you kind of protect the idea, protect your business essentially, going up to these businesses, because
it's a great question.
So I'm going to repeat it for the benefit of the man who's filming me at the back. I think if I paraphrase, meeting retailers is a great thing, but how do you know they're not going to nick your idea? You have to be a trusting person. Not easy, particularly when you hear horror stories. So for instance, I can only speak to my example, right? I know Tesco do not want to give a job to somebody to buy guacamole for their stores, to have to manage inventory, inbox, sleeving, date stamping, defrosting, packaging, sending out, changing SRPs, Tesco don't want to employ someone to do that. They want me to do that, because then all they have to do is give me money. One transaction to me. And if things go wrong, all they have to do is beat me up. They don't have to sack 10 people in a team. This is the thing. Own label is quite tricky and quite difficult and quite different, and that is a different setup, because they do that. They all buy from the same place anyway. But Tesco don't want to. They don't want to set up a brand in the dips world, for instance, or in any other world. They'll do own label, which is their thing. That's their value play. Brands are a world unto themselves and bring value to the category in different ways. So actually, this is why we didn't do the own label thing, because if we were an own label supplier, they could copy that, 2 years later, kick us out. What have we got for it? All right, 9 million quid in the first year, we probably make, I don't know, 15% profit on that. I can't retire. I can't go and play golf. I don't own a yacht. I don't want to own a yacht. I'm awful on the sea. However, building a brand, adding value that way, we have a relationship now where they come to me and say, Gaz, we want a new salsa. Can you help us out? It is a risk. Fundamentally, however, also my products are made differently. So the way they buy their own label guacamole from a company called Bakkavor, which is a huge multinational based in Leicestershire, and everyone buys from there. I make my product on an avocado orchard in Mexico. I make it at source. I chose to make my product fundamentally different, because what comes out the sausage machine at the other end is so far different that they can't replicate it. Even if they wanted to, it's too expensive. They couldn't do an own label version of my product. It's too expensive. Tesco charged £2.25, £2.20 for my product. Their own label's £1.20. The economics don't work for them to make my product. I've got to do that. Right, so from £1 million, doing all right, got an interesting little business, making some money. Where are we now? So, work with all the major grocers, some better, some worse than others. The big thing that we've done is gone through this process of understanding why we exist. When we started out, it's just two blokes who wanted to create something that they would eat. We knew in our gut why we existed, and we just did it. We just do it. Just do it. Just get on with it. Just do it. But now we've crystallized why we exist, and it's this here, but I'll show you in a second. The process I describe the next stage of our business as is kind of professionalization, which is a bit weird because you don't want to lose the entrepreneurial spirit. You don't want to stop acting agilely. You don't want to stop being quick and bringing new stuff to market. But you also have to realize that you have to be a professional business. You have to develop things in a really MPD has to be done quite formally. Has to be the right product at the right time. Can't just be develop anything that's off the top of your brain anymore. You know, customers expect certain levels of performance. The pressure ramps up. We're now seen as category thought leaders. God forbid. We still don't know what we're doing. We still don't know what we're talking about. But now, you know, our retailers come to us for what's going on, what should we be developing, can you do as a tomato mango salsa, whatever it may be. First grown up in the UK. We've done our first ever above the line campaign. This was a big one. Free. If you didn't like the product, full money back guarantee. Every product, every retailer in the UK. We were so confident that our products were different and better, we offered a full money back guarantee to any customer on any product anywhere in the UK. I think we had a 0.02 redemption rate. Most of them, people saying, I really love your product, I just didn't believe you'd give me my money back. Which really annoyed me, actually. But it's honestly true. We've got multiple SKUs and formats. We've grown to a team of expertise, I think I spoke about, and this was the key thing of bringing in people that know more than you, are better than you. My sales guy is better than me. No, he's not better than me, actually. My marketing person is definitely better than me. My ops person is better than me because they've done it and they've come in from other environments. And yeah, all that culminated in backing from a huge food business brand who, being blunt, I think what they see in us is the ability to move quickly, to develop new products and services that they're perhaps a little bit too big and bloated and a little bit too pedestrian to do. They see us definitely as kind of their speed and agility arm, and they're going to be making more investments in more businesses like ours. We're the first one in their incubator hub, effectively. And then sometimes we have mad ideas. Nut shakes and overnight oats, right? We know, oh God, I get battered for this every board meeting now. It's like a sword Damocles hanging over my neck. We thought we were it. We were the new brand in town. We were brilliant. People were buying the guac. It was in 9,000 stores. What could possibly go wrong? Because we want to do some brand extension. So we'd got the HPP machines. We'd been at a Nougat food show and we'd seen this product, which was overnight nut shakes. So vegan milkshakes, effectively. What could possibly go wrong of launching that in the UK? We know what we're talking about. We've got the relationship with retailers. Oh my God, it was a bomb, an absolute bomb. Developed four flavors, 8 SKUs. Sainsbury's took it. It wasn't what we were set up to do. It wasn't. It was vastly. It was just a nightmare, and we pretty quickly retreated from that. Yeah, overnight oats we did at the same time. Because we had the technology, we thought we could use it in other areas, and of course people would just buy our product because we're great, and you know, nah, you have to earn the right. We didn't have the right to go into milkshakes. We didn't have the right, but we thought we could because we were big-headed and entrepreneurial, and it'll come on to my failures. Oh, international. We've launched now in Holland. We had a false start. Basically, we got it all wrong. Wrong distributor, wrong partner, wrong cultural understanding, wrong market. There's like 8 million people in Netherlands. That's less than London. The market was never big enough to do what we wanted to do. We launched 5 products in 750 stores in Holland, and surprised when the sales were like, now we've reduced that down. We took the tail out. We've got to the stores that are in most urban areas, in concentrations where we're going to sell some, and it's doing all right. We got it wrong. We thought we could do everything for everyone. Direct to consumer, God. So we've been through COVID, right? Everyone's been through COVID. What was the most proliferant thing during COVID? Was companies trying to sell you subscriptions to their products because you weren't going to the supermarkets. We tried setting up direct to consumer. Who wants to buy 10 packs of guacamole at a time? Like, you think, we've got to do it. Everyone's doing it. So we went with the crowd. Everyone's doing D2C. Here we go. We're ploughing in through the door. It only works economically if you buy 10 packs at a time. Oh, yeah, no one wants to do that. Again, we believed our own hype. And the good thing about the food world, and the good thing about entrepreneurs normally is, you know, you get smashed around the face, you go, oh, you know what, you're probably right, and you pick yourself up and you do something else and you move on and all that good stuff. So, yeah, we were definitely hurt by that. We over-relied on Mexico, had some problems with Mexico's supply chain last year. We're now making Colombia and Mexico, and we're going to be making in all different parts of the world. Sticking to our principles, sticking to what makes Holy Moly special, the holy commandments, as we call them. Everything's on brand. But we learnt quickly that you've got to de-risk your business. And then we got some hiring wrong. We just hired the wrong people, wrong culture, we brought people in from the corporate world, brought someone in from Mercedes, and it was just a very different corporate culture, Germanic. Nothing wrong with it. It works for them. Massive company, brilliant company, but a very set way of doing things. Didn't really mould with the more relaxed Holy Moly style, let's say. We made some hiring issues. 4 lessons. Don't believe your own hype. It's not worth it. An inch wide and a mile deep, you know this saying? An inch wide, a mile deep. So do something really well. Do it lots of times. Don't spread yourself too thinly. The power of why. Once you're an established business, some of you will know this. You know why you exist. You know why you want to start your business. You'll be able to articulate it. You'll be able to say to people, not just what my product does, but why it exists. What's your mission? And that we took a bit of time to actually crystallize that, but it's the driving force now behind Holy Moly. And then my final point, tenacity beats skill. And it does. Hard work pays. But there is no glory in doing 90 hours a week. I don't believe in that. I just don't believe in it. I don't believe that anyone can be happy flogging themselves to death trying to set up something that just won't work. I would rather you work smart than work hard. And I say this to all my team. Be smart. Be precise. We can only do 3 things well at any one time. Let's work out what those 3 things are. Let's smash them out of the park. Working smart beats working hard. Just on the why, I thought this was quite interesting. So this is literally now our purpose is to help people eat better. It's a very broad purpose, but it crystallizes some of those thoughts and shows about how we've gone from 2 blokes with a polystyrene box to a brand now that has an identity and an understanding of why it exists. Don't be copying this. And then the future. What do we want Holy Moly to be? What will be a sign of success for us? And we sat down as a founding partner, as a board, and we agreed this, right? The most important thing is a company that we're proud to work for. A company that makes a difference. A company that has left its mark on the world. Yes, there's a financial element. Yes, we want to get to 30 million turnover, and we'll get there in next few years. We want to have strong profitability. We want people that have grown with us. We want to bring our team with us. Yes, we've made some bad hires, but we've made some brilliant ones as well. We want operations in 10 countries, mainly Europe. We think that's where we can go and do some serious business and make a difference there as well. And then a brand that your friends know and love. And increasingly in this world, part of that is understanding our impact on the physical environment around us. We're not ignorant of the fact that we use avocados. We know that making them at source is better than actually bringing them over here, force ripening them, shipping stone and skin. We are something like 40% more carbon, less carbon intensive than actually how they make it over, currently in own label. Because we don't ship stone and skin, we don't force ripen our avocados. We make them at source in Mexico, in Colombia. We've just been certified B Corp, which was a 3-year process. Really difficult, but and an interesting point about kind of how the world sees you and what are the certifications, what are the classifications that you can get where the world says that's a good company to work for, to be involved with, to do business with. B Corp's one of them. BRC, if you're looking into retail, SMETA is about global people standards. There's loads of ways that really small businesses can demonstrate their seriousness, act like big businesses, as Baron Livingston of Parkhead told us at the start, but also get credibility. And it's not, B Corp's not an easy process, but it is an important one. And we're cognizant of the world we leave behind. So we've set ourselves a target to be carbon neutral in the next 3 years. And then we want to go further. We want to be carbon reductive in our entire processes. Not easy, not profitable to do that, but the right thing to do.
we do some Slido?
Sorry, let's do some sliders. Come on, what we're doing.
So why did you decide to start your own business?
Didn't like the corporate world. Next.
Do you have any difficulty when you want to expand your business?
No, I've got a brilliant board, brilliant backers. They've got loads of money. It's brilliant.
How did you compete with the existing similar products?
There are no existing similar products.
How did you manage to produce and store the products in the initial stage?
Everyone knows. It's
know
frozen.
the secrets.
Frozen. I've given away the secrets.
System in operation.
How do you make a system in operation of Holy Moly? Good question. I think the key here is understanding your end customer. So genuinely, there's kind of two ways to build a food business. You can do the delis, the markets, the wholesalers. You go around, you sell to individuals, you build a nice niche little brand, and you build it that way. And loads of companies have done it that way and done some really good stuff. That's how Tyrrell's and all those good guys have started and gone. Or you just go, you know what, we're going to be a supermarket partner. We're going to be a grocer partner.
How did you convince the investor to invest in Holy Moly?
How would you not want to invest in Holy Moly after meeting the co-founder? Genuinely, I remember this like it was yesterday. Will said, right, come and meet me at my flat in Soho. He said, it's this little place I keep in the city. We got in a lift. It opened up into this bloody flat, 4 floors up. It opened straight into his apartment. He said, right, what's it about? We showed him the samples. He tried the products. He said, tell me a bit about you. He said, what do you need? I said, I need 50 grand to buy the first container of product, because it was around the time of the whole Simon debacle. And he said, okay. He wrote me a check there and then. I think he just believed in what we were trying to do. He saw that we had a product that we'd thought about how we can make it different so that there's something that is different for retailers and adds value to their category. He knew it was a category that was going through a pretty rubbish time, kind of a race to the bottom on pricing. And he was a retailer. He loves retail. He loves getting his hands mucky, and he was the right investor at the right time. His brother-in-law, Garth Weston, is now an investor of ours. So when we were a bit bigger, got down the line a bit, needed some more money. The family-owned ABF, that's not a bad link to have. And he came on board, and then most recently Samworth's, they approached us. We'd kind of cast the net and said, look, we're ready to sell a bit of Holy Moly to accelerate our growth. This is what we want to do with it. And as I said, we had private equity, we had different businesses come to us, and they had the best credentials of how they could help us, and they've been fantastic. And I'll give you 2 examples. One, I had a problem with starch. Starch. Who knows about starch? They've got a world expert in starch that works for them. And he's like, right, pick up the phone to this guy in Ireland. He'll come and sort your problem out. He came over the day after, solved the problem. He also had some HR issues that they helped us with. So it's been really good to meet them.
You might not want to answer this of what is the kind of commission rate charge.
No, let's answer it. Why not? Let's answer it. We're friends now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Food industry, standard margins that Tesco want to make, depending on a category. Across the store, they'll look for about 35% gross. Dips, because it's own label, they've been treated to substandard products at a fairly decent price, so they've always expected 40 to 50% gross margin in my category. It's big, but it's not just about gross margin. So when we go into Tesco, we talk gross because we help them with that, but also we talk cash margin, we talk about basket size, we talk about average weight of purchase, we talk about if someone buys Holy Moly and doesn't buy your own label, that's 80 pence extra in the basket. The more people we push in, great. Also, we bring new customers. 20%, 24% of all sales in Tesco for us from people that have never bought from the cashier before. That's money that was just walking past. Just walking past the aisle and never picking anything up, and now it's turned into spend and money and margin and cash, etc. So and that's about standard. Aldi, as an example, they want less margin because they're a much simpler business. It's why they're winning. But yeah, that's pretty standard, 40 to 50%, something like that.
How did you go about getting your distributor in Mexico?
Well, we went over there first of all. We found Dr. Google. We knew we needed certain equation to add up. We needed HPP, we needed someone that would work with us on our recipes and we could own it legally, that they wouldn't, retain ownership. Could do a certain format that we wanted for the UK, certain sizes. Put all that into Google, go meet them at trade shows, and you come up very quickly with 2 or 3 businesses that can do that have that right equation. No one in the UK can do that. There's nowhere in the UK that you can manufacture without additives and preservatives, and then HPP, and then freeze. It just doesn't exist. Now, there's a really good question, if someone wants to ask it at some point, about why we don't do that, and we can have that debate another time. But what we found were understanding how we wanted to make our product, a bit of research, and then finding someone that matches that, not trying to retrofit it the other way around. And we've managed to find 3 producers in Mexico that we work with. So we work with 3 family-owned businesses. They have their own orchards. The facilities are on the avocado orchard. It's brilliant to go there. You see the avocados be picked. They literally transport them across the road into the processing facility. So they met not only our commercial needs, our product requirements, but they also measured up in terms of who they were and what they stood for. And they're not mega global corporate bods. These are family-owned 4th-generation farmers that we wanted to work with. Same in Colombia.
Ever thought of launching your product in India?
No. It's hard enough. It's hard enough to build a business to scale at home, and with everything we know about the UK, we are not done. We are, 3% market share. It's fine to be looking at maybe geographically close, because that's easier. But actually, until we're at 10% market share in the UK, why would I be doing business in India? No disrespect. I'm sure it's a fantastic place to do business, but I've got enough to go at right now. Plenty. Why did I decide to be an entrepreneur? I don't think anyone decides to be an entrepreneur. I think you've either got it. No, that's a lie. That is a lie. That's a lie. Anyone can be an entrepreneur. Attitude is more important than ability. And when we hire people, we talk about you can't teach attitude. But I don't sign up to every cliche about entrepreneurs. I said it before. I don't believe working endless hours, slogging yourself to death is the way forward. Particularly for you young people, you think about things in a different way, and I like that. It resonates with me about how it's kind of immediacy, and somebody's got to work, or you move on to the next thing. I love this new attitude to work. Like, it's got to work for you, or you just quit and do something else. I love that. That's brilliant. I could get on board with that, no problem.
Okay, I think this is quite a good last question, actually. Do you think innovation is at the core of sustaining your business in the next 10 to 15 years? If not, what's your sustainability plan?
It is, but actually, break it down, right? What do we want to do? I've shown you what we want the future to be. That's about building a successful £30 million turnover, profitable business that people know and love. They're really easy criteria to measure. Last one's more difficult. So in terms of how we do that, innovation is part of it. If I did no other innovation and took, 100% of the guac market in the UK, I'd be well past those numbers. I'm not going to get to 100% of the guac market in the UK. I could do no innovation and be known as the king of Avo and get to that. But it's not just about that. It's about building that brand that you're proud to leave behind and proud to give to someone else one day. And that's where we've always set out, build a brand that we're proud of. And that's why B Corp is so important. That's why it's not just about profits, it's about people, it's about the planet. So sustainability is a huge factor and will become more and more important for businesses as we stare into the abyss of climate change and really don't seem to be that bothered about doing anything about it, if I'm totally honest. So yeah, I think that answers the question. Does that answer the question?
I think it does, and then the last one is not really a question.
I'd like to talk about how I can help. I would like to talk about how you can help. So whoever that person is, let's talk about how you can help. Here's my offer to you. I will stick around for as long as I am required to help my fellow Aston community, because Aston did a lot for me, and it's time to give some of that back. So thank you.